The hardest part about losing someone's love is that you usually don't notice it when it begins. There isn't always a dramatic goodbye, no huge argument, no clear warning. Instead, the relationship slowly changes in ways that are almost invisible. The conversations become shorter, the excitement quietly disappears, and one day, you realize you're trying to hold on to a connection that may have already started slipping away. Today, we're exploring 5 psychological signs that may suggest she's quietly losing feelings, not to create fear or suspicion, but to help you recognize emotional patterns before they become impossible to ignore. And trust me, the 5th sign is the one most people completely overlook until it's too late. Let's begin with something important. No single behavior can tell you exactly how someone feels. People become distant for many reasons: stress, work, mental exhaustion, family responsibilities, personal struggles. That's why psychologists don't focus on isolated moments. They look for consistent patterns over time. This video isn't about assuming the worst, it's about becoming emotionally aware, because healthy relationships don't survive on assumptions, they survive on communication. And sometimes, recognizing a problem early gives both people the opportunity to rebuild the connection before it fades completely. Let's begin with the first sign. Sign number 1, she stops being curious about your life. Think back to the beginning of your relationship. She wanted to know everything: how your meeting went, what made you smile today, what goals you were working toward. Even small details felt important. Why? Because curiosity is often a natural expression of emotional investment. When we care deeply about someone, we naturally become interested in their world. Now imagine that curiosity slowly disappearing. You tell her about something exciting. She responds politely, but asks nothing else. You mention a challenge at work. She changes the subject. You share good news. The conversation ends almost immediately. Does this mean she no longer cares? Not necessarily. Everyone has distracted days. But when genuine curiosity fades consistently, psychologists often see it as a sign that emotional attention may be shifting elsewhere. Here's a simple question. When you talk about your life, does she seem interested or simply present? Those two experiences feel very different, and over time, that difference becomes impossible to ignore. Sign number 2, conversations begin to feel like obligations. Communication isn't measured only by how often you talk, it's measured by how connected those conversations feel. Imagine calling your closest friend. Within minutes, you're laughing, sharing stories, losing track of time. Now imagine another conversation where every answer is one word. Every pause feels awkward, every topic dies within seconds. That's emotional contrast. Many relationships don't end because people stop talking. They end because meaningful conversations quietly disappear. Psychologists sometimes describe this as emotional disengagement. The words are still there, but the emotional energy behind them isn't. You ask how her day was. Fine. You ask what she's thinking. Nothing. You ask if everything is okay. I'm just tired. Again, everyone has difficult days, but if nearly every conversation starts feeling mechanical, it's worth paying attention, because communication is often the heartbeat of emotional closeness. When the heartbeat weakens, the relationship usually feels it long before anyone says it out loud. Sign number 3, she stops, including you in her future. Here's something subtle. Listen carefully to how people talk about tomorrow. Early in a relationship, plans naturally include both people. We should visit that place. Nye, we'll watch that movie. We should try that restaurant next month. Those small sentences reveal something powerful: shared imagination. Now notice what happens when emotional distance grows. Future conversations become individual. My plans, my schedule, my goals. The word we quietly becomes I. This doesn't happen overnight, it happens gradually, sometimes without either person noticing. Psychologists believe that when someone emotionally invests in a future with another person, they naturally picture them in upcoming experiences. When that mental picture begins to disappear, language often changes first, not dramatically, just enough to reveal a shift. Pay attention to everyday conversations. Does she still naturally include you in tomorrow? Or has your role in her future become increasingly uncertain? We've covered 3 important signs, but the next 2 are often the strongest because they involve emotional behavior rather than simple communication. Before we continue, take a second to comment below which sign surprised you the most. Now let's move on, because the 4th sign is one many people misunderstand completely. Sign number 4, your presence no longer changes her mood. Think about someone you're genuinely excited to see. The moment they walk into the room, your energy changes, you smile, you become more engaged, you naturally pay attention. This is one of the most basic expressions of emotional connection. Now imagine the opposite. You arrive, nothing changes, your conversations feel flat. Your absence and your presence seem to create almost the same emotional response. That doesn't automatically mean love has disappeared, but it can suggest emotional excitement has faded. Psychologists often describe close relationships as emotionally responsive. Partners naturally influence each other's moods, not every moment, but often enough to create a sense of connection. If your presence consistently creates little emotional reaction, ask yourself why. Because relationships thrive when both people continue bringing emotional energy into each other's lives. Without that, even spending time together can begin to feel routine instead of meaningful. Sign number 5. She stops trying to repair the relationship. This is the most powerful sign, and perhaps the most painful. Many people think arguments destroy relationships, but surprisingly, arguments can sometimes be healthy. They show that both people still care enough to solve a problem. What becomes dangerous is indifference. Imagine this. You notice something feels wrong. You ask if she'd like to talk. She shrugs. You suggest working through the issue together. She says, "It doesn't matter." Weeks later, nothing improves. Not because you stopped trying, because she stopped trying. Psychologists often explain that emotional withdrawal usually happens before physical separation. People emotionally disengage first. Once that happens, they may no longer feel motivated to fix problems that once mattered deeply. Think about a garden. When someone still cares about it, they water it, remove weeds, protect it. When they stop believing it can grow, the care slowly disappears. Relationships follow the same principle. The most chilling sign isn't conflict, it's the absence of effort. Because effort is often one of the clearest expressions of emotional investment. So, what should you do if several of these signs sound familiar? First, don't panic. Fear often leads to assumptions, and assumptions damage relationships. Second, don't become controlling. Checking phones, constantly demanding reassurance, or testing someone's loyalty rarely rebuilds emotional closeness. Instead, choose honesty. Tell her what you've noticed. Share how you're feeling without blaming. Ask open-ended questions, then listen. Really listen. Not just to respond, but to understand. Sometimes you'll discover stress or personal challenges were creating emotional distance. Other times, you'll realize the relationship truly has changed. Either way, the truth is always healthier than endless uncertainty. And here's something equally important. Remember your own value. Love should never require you to constantly chase emotional reassurance. Healthy relationships involve two people choosing each other repeatedly, not one person carrying the entire emotional weight alone. Respect yourself enough to seek clarity, because clarity allows healing, whether that healing happens together or separately. Losing feelings rarely happens in one dramatic moment. It's usually a series of small emotional changes that quietly reshape a relationship over time. Less curiosity, less excitement, less shared vision, less emotional response, less effort. None of these signs alone prove anything, but together, they deserve an honest conversation because awareness isn't about expecting relationships to fail. It's about giving them the best possible chance to succeed. The strongest couples aren't the ones who never face emotional distance. They're the ones who recognize it early enough to address it with honesty, compassion, and mutual effort. If you found this video valuable, subscribe for more psychology-based insights on relationships, communication, and human behavior. Every week, we share practical ideas that can help you build stronger, healthier connections. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Which of these 5 signs do you believe is the most important? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might help someone else gain the clarity they need today. Thanks for watching, and remember, the healthiest relationships aren't built by pretending nothing has changed. They're built by having the courage to notice the change, communicate with honesty, and grow together before silence replaces connection.